The transfer rollercoaster continues. Where do Chelsea stand with Xavi Simons and Alejandro Garnacho? Transfer windows are like emotional rollercoasters, aren't they? One day you're celebrating a done deal, the next day you're wondering if it was all just wishful thinking. As Chelsea fans, we know this feeling all too well. Just when we thought Xavi Simons was practically wearing the blue shirt, new twists emerge. And don't get us started on the Alejandro Garnacho situation that has divided our fanbase like rarely before. So where exactly do we stand with these two major transfer stories? Let's break it down in simple terms and see what the latest updates really mean for our beloved Blues. The Xavi Simons saga, still alive but getting complicated. Remember when we all thought Xavi Simons to Chelsea was basically a done deal? Those were simpler times, weren't they? Last week, everything seemed to be moving in the right direction. Reports were coming in thick and fast about advanced talks and how close we were to getting our man. But here's the thing about transfer windows, they're never as straightforward as they seem. Just when you think you've got everything figured out, someone moves the goalposts. And that's exactly what seems to have happened with the Simons deal. What's actually happening right now? The good news first, the deal is not dead. Despite what some doom and gloom merchants might be saying, Fabrizio Romano has made it clear that Chelsea are still very much in the hunt for the Dutch midfielder. In fact, he's put the chances at 75%, which is pretty encouraging if you ask me. But there's a catch, isn't there always? Chelsea and RB Leipzig are having a bit of a standoff over the transfer fee. Leipzig wants their asking price, and Chelsea wants to pay less. It's like haggling at a market, except we're talking about millions of pounds and one of Europe's most exciting young talents. The money talk. Let's be honest about this, money talks in football, and it's talking loudly in this deal. Leipzig knows they have a special player on their hands, and they want to get every penny they can for him. Can you blame them? Simons has been brilliant for them, and they know Chelsea really wants him. On the other side, Chelsea are being smart about their spending. We've learned from past mistakes about throwing money around without thinking. The club wants Simons, but they want him at the right price. It's actually refreshing to see this more measured approach, even if it means we have to wait a bit longer. The domino effect, sales before buys. Here's something that makes perfect sense but might test our patience. Chelsea wants to sell some players before they complete the Simons deal. It's like cleaning out your wardrobe before buying new clothes. You need to make space and balance the books. Romano mentioned several players who are likely to leave. We've already seen Guiu go out on loan, which is a start. But there are bigger names that might be heading for the exit door. Armando Broja looks set to leave, which most of us saw coming. Raheem Sterling's future is uncertain, and João Felix has already left the building. But here's where it gets interesting, Nkunku might be on his way out too. Now that's a surprise to many of us. The Frenchman hasn't had the easiest time at Chelsea with injuries and limited opportunities, but many fans still believe he has something to offer. If he does leave, it would certainly free up some wages and transfer funds. And then there's Nicholas Jackson. His name keeps coming up in these discussions, and while he scored some important goals last season, there are questions about whether he's the long-term answer for Chelsea's attack. Why this actually makes sense. Before we get too frustrated with all this waiting around, let's think about why Chelsea are taking this approach. First, it shows the club is being responsible with money. We're not just throwing cash around hoping something sticks. Second, it ensures we're building a balanced squad rather than just collecting talented players. The fact that talks are going well between Chelsea and Leipzig is encouraging. It suggests both sides want to make this work. Sometimes these negotiations take time, especially when you're dealing with such a talented player and significant transfer fees. The Alejandro Garnacho situation, love him or hate him. Now let's talk about something that's really got our fanbase divided, Alejandro Garnacho. If the Simons situation is a gentle disagreement over price, the Garnacho links are like a family argument at Christmas dinner. Everyone has strong opinions, and nobody's backing down. The fan reaction says it all. When was the last time you saw Chelsea fans create petitions against signing a player? It's pretty rare, right? But that's exactly what's happening with Garnacho. Some fans are so opposed to this potential signing that they've organized campaigns against it. Hashtags are flying around social media, and popular Chelsea fan accounts are making their displeasure very clear. Why such strong reactions? Well, it comes down to a few things. First, Garnacho plays for Manchester United, and let's be honest, many Chelsea fans aren't thrilled about signing players from our rivals. Second, there are questions about whether he's really what we need right now. And third, some fans worry about the message it sends about our own academy players. What Romano is saying. Despite all the fan opposition, Fabrizio Romano isn't backing down from his reports. He's been talking about Chelsea's interest in Garnacho for weeks now, and he's doubling down on it. According to Romano, Chelsea are genuinely interested in the Argentine winger, and Garnacho wants to stay in the Premier League. Romano even said that Garnacho remains a strong topic at Chelsea. That suggests this isn't just idle speculation or media nonsense. There seems to be real substance behind these links, whether we like it or not. The swap deal that wasn't. One idea that was floating around was a potential swap deal involving Nicholas Jackson going to United and Garnacho coming to Chelsea. On paper, it might have made some sense for both clubs. United could use a striker, and Chelsea could use more pace and creativity on the wings. But here's the thing, United reportedly aren't interested in such a swap. They're happy with Garnacho, thank you very much, and they don't see Jackson as someone they desperately need. So if Chelsea wants Garnacho, they'll probably have to pay cash rather than use players as part of the deal. Why some fans are against it? Let's try to understand why so many Chelsea fans are dead against signing Garnacho. It's not necessarily about his ability, the lad can clearly play football. He's young, he's got pace, and has shown flashes of real quality at United. The opposition seems to stem from a few concerns. First, there's the tribal aspect, he's a United player, and some fans just don't want to give United any money. Second, there are questions about whether he fits our style of play and what Enzo Maresca wants to do tactically. Third, some fans worry that signing Garnacho might block the path for our own young wingers. There's also a financial aspect. If we're being careful with money for the Simons deal, why would we splash cash on a player from a rival club who many fans don't even want? But here's the other side. While the opposition is loud, it's worth considering why Chelsea might be interested in Garnacho. He's still very young with plenty of room to grow. He's already proven he can perform in the Premier League, which removes some of the risk you get with signings from abroad. And he's got the kind of pace and directness that could add a different dimension to our attack. There's also the fact that professional scouts and coaches see things differently than fans sometimes do. Maybe they see something in Garnacho that could work really well in Chelsea's system. Maybe they think is exactly what we need to take the next step forward. What this all means for Chelsea's season. Looking at both these situations together, what picture emerges for Chelsea's upcoming season? Well, it's clear that the club is trying to be smart about building the squad. They're not just buying players for the sake of it, there's a plan behind all this. The balancing act. Chelsea are trying to balance several things at once. They want to improve the squad, but they also want to be financially responsible. They want to bring in new talent, but they also need to make room by selling players who aren't in the long-term plans. This balancing act isn't always popular with fans who just want to see new signings announced. But it's probably the right approach for a club that's been through some chaotic periods in recent years. Squad planning and long-term thinking. The fact that Chelsea are taking their time with these deals suggests they're thinking long-term rather than just focusing on immediate impact. Simons is young and has huge potential. Even Garnacho, despite the fan opposition, fits the profile of a player who could develop over several years. This patient approach might frustrate some fans, but it's probably better than the scattergun approach we've seen in some previous transfer windows. Remember when we used to sign players just because they were available, rather than because they fit a specific plan? The manager's vision. We can't forget about Enzo Maresca in all this. As the new manager, he'll have a clear idea of how he wants his team to play and what kind of players he needs to make that happen. The club's transfer strategy should align with his tactical vision. If Chelsea are serious about both Simons and Garnacho, it suggests Maresca sees them as players who can contribute to his style of play. That should give us some confidence that these aren't just random signings but part of a bigger picture. The waiting game, what should fans expect? So where does this leave us as Chelsea fans? Well, we're in for more waiting, that's for sure. The Simons deal might take a while longer as Chelsea work on their player sales and try to negotiate a better price with Leipzig. The Garnacho situation could drag on too, especially with such divided opinion among the fan base. Managing expectations. The key is managing our expectations. Transfer windows are rarely straightforward, and deals that seem certain can fall through at the last minute. On the flip side, deals that seem impossible sometimes happen out of nowhere. With Simons, we should be encouraged by Romano's confidence and the fact that talks are progressing well. But we should also be prepared for this to take longer than we'd like. With Garnacho, we should accept that the club might see something in him that many fans don't, and that's okay. The bigger picture. Whether these specific deals happen or not, what matters is that Chelsea seem to have a clear strategy. They're not just buying players randomly, there's thought behind it all. They're trying to balance the books while improving the squad. They're thinking about both immediate needs and long-term development. That's actually quite refreshing after some of the chaos we've seen in recent transfer windows. Even if we don't get every player we want, we can at least feel confident that there's a plan behind it all. Final thoughts: trust the process. Transfer windows test our patience as fans, don't they? We want everything sorted quickly and efficiently, but the reality is usually more complicated. Deals take time, negotiations get complicated, and sometimes things don't work out the way we hoped. But looking at these two situations, Simons and Garnacho, what stands out is that Chelsea seem to be approaching things differently than in recent years. There's more patience, more planning, and more consideration of the financial implications. That might not always give us the immediate gratification we want, but it's probably better for the club's long-term health. The Simons deal still has a good chance of happening, according to Romano's 75% prediction. That should keep us optimistic. The Garnacho situation is more divisive, but if it happens, maybe we should give the lad a chance to prove himself rather than writing him off before he's even signed. Whatever happens with these two players, one thing is clear: Chelsea are active in the transfer market and trying to improve the squad. That's what we want as fans, even if the process sometimes tests our patience. So let's buckle up for what could be a long few weeks of transfer speculation. Keep an eye on those player sales, watch for updates from reliable journalists like Romano, and try to stay patient. The transfer window isn't over yet, and there could be plenty more twists and turns ahead. After all, this is Chelsea we're talking about. When have our transfer windows ever been straightforward?